This is Danny Flexen here for SecondsOut. Delighted to be joined by an apparently quite hungry Paulie Malignaggi in the literal sense. How you doing, mate?
Good. Just got out back from Heathrow, actually. Just across the pond here for the big boxer show, and I need some coffee and maybe a little bit of something sweet.
What is it about Boxer and about this show specifically that's made you make the trip and given you that kind of investment in the product?
I've been involved with boxers since the beginning. You know, I can remember when Ben Shalom told me about it just as an idea. And, you know, I've been part of the whole growing process. I've worked a lot of their early shows. And now to see them have grown to this stage, to see them get the big TV contract and you know, be able to sign better fighters and, you know, continue to grow. I've been with them the whole time, so it sort of makes me feel like I've been part of the ride, and I don't want to jump off the ride, you know, so I want to continue to grow with the company as well.
And we saw yesterday there was a press conference where they announced the Eubank Jr. Liam Williams fight, which, despite the jacket you're wearing at the moment, will not be on Sky Sports box office, but will be on regular Sky Sports, so free to existing subscribers. Pretty impressed with that fight?
I am. Liam, if I'm not mistaken, fought Demetrius Andrade. And fought very well, I thought. I was at that fight. And I thought he actually caught Andre with a pretty good shot in one of the rounds, and I thought he got his attention, even kind of hurt him. Obviously, Andre's a tough nut to crack, but William held tough, and he showed his worth in the fight. Scorecards may have been wide, but I thought he made Demetrius work every single round, you know, and he's the kind of guy that's going to do that. He's the kind of guy that's going to show up. He may not be the most talented guy, but he's going to come to make you work. And, you know, we know Eubank never minds working either. You know, he likes to get in there, throw a lot of punches, and I think he's an improving fighter. He's getting better. You know, the connection with Roy Jones is good too, you know. So it's a fight I look forward to, and I think it's great that it's on regular Sky, you know, and people can tune in and watch. And, you know, Eubank has a big name in the sport of boxing because of his father, and also he's creating his own legacy. So it'll be fun to be able to tune in, and it'll be a great chance for a lot of the fans here in the UK to be able to follow along as well.
Main event on this Saturday's show is Richard Riakporhe against Duradola. Probably the biggest test for Riakporhe so far in his career. How aware of you are of Riakporhe's kind of progression and where he's at right now?
I mean, Riakporhe, I've seen him a couple of times on a couple of the other shows I've worked in the past. He's sort of up against it. He's always been an against the odds kind of guy. You know, comes from a rough background, overcame that. I've heard kind of a little bit of his backstory as well. You know. The neighborhood he was from and all that stuff. It's terrific that he's been able to come out of that and make a positive life for himself. And he's even created at least one upset. I know he's had at least one upset, maybe two. He's had to move along the fast track because I don't think he's as young as an average prospect. So, if I'm not mistaken, you know, he's been really impressive if you really think about it from those perspectives. You know, so. On the fast track and here for a chance to box for the silver title, you know, it puts you in a top 10, top 5 position to be able to really compete for a major title. So we'll see. I look forward to continuing his progression, to see his progression as well.
And will you be working on the broadcast? Because I know Sky have also got Crawford against Porter on the same night from the States. I'm
not sure. I'm with Boxer here this week. And I don't know in what capacity they'll be using me, but they've flown me here to use me. So whatever capacity I'm needed, I'll definitely be excited to be working.
On Crawford Porter, obviously fighting in a division in which you were a world champion. You were a 2-division world champion, of course. What do you make of the Crawford Porter fight? How much of a test is Sean Porter for Terence Crawford?
I think Porter brings a lot to the table. Stylistically, he's always a rough guy. He makes things really extremely difficult for you, even if you're going to beat him, right? He's a guy who brings a pace, and he's a guy who fights very physical, dare I say even dirty at times. So it's a guy that's not easy to deal with, and I think he'll be a handful. But if I've got to compare this fight to something that gives me confidence in Crawford in the fight is his fight with Jeff Horn. Jeff Horn was a physical guy, maybe even bigger than Porter. Let's say he's not as good as Porter, but Jeff Horn was very capable. And I really, going into that fight, I remember thinking, well, the physicality of a guy like this, a bigger guy, Crawford being an ex-lightweight, could disrupt the skill set of Terence Crawford. But Crawford handled it with flying colors, really handled it beautifully. He handled it way better than I could have ever imagined. I mean, I think that's the fight you really look to as far as can Crawford handle a style like Porter. Not to say Porter and Horn are the same exact fighter, but it's at least that kind of a fight. and it leaves me without that question mark as to whether Crawford can handle a rough physical guy. But nonetheless, I do think Porter brings a little bit of a skill set with the physicality as well, and it'll be interesting to see how he's able to, if he's able to really push Crawford in ways that other fighters haven't been able to. But like I said, for me personally, I look at the Jeff Horn fight and compare the Crawford's performance in that fight, and makes me confident in being able to say that I think he probably handles the Porter fight as well.
You make Crawford the #1 fighter at 147 at the moment. It's obviously between him and Errol Spence. Who do you like?
I've been saying for a long time, I think it's hard to pick against Spence. He's a bigger guy, a naturally bigger guy, but he also brings a skill set. You know, he's an Olympic fighter, so he brings an Olympic skill set. But especially now with Spence being out of the loop, you don't know how he's going to come back with the retina and stuff. There's a lot of question marks surrounding Errol Spence right now. So I think at the moment you have to make Crawford your #1 welterweight.
Another big development this week was Canelo, of course, deciding he wants to go up to cruiserweight now and try to become a 5-weight world champion against Ilunga Makabu, who's a WBC title holder. What did you make of that move? Did it catch you by surprise as it did some other people, or did you kind of anticipate it?
I think it's a surprise overall, yeah. I mean, we were talking about, I was actually hoping he would stay at 168, to tell you the truth. I wanted to see him fight against either Benavidez or Charlo, but I would have thought going up to light heavyweight, there was some tough tests there. I wasn't sure if it was the most smartest idea. But I think it's kind of an intelligent fight to go up with this Makabu. What's his name? Makabu. You know what? I think it's an intelligent choice because you've got to kind of pick your spots when you go up too many weight classes. You can't just keep fighting the best guy at every weight class. It's not the way it works. You know, like I think people got spoiled with the whole Pacquiao situation. But in reality, every time you move up in weight class, you're looking to pick off a world title, you know, the best way you can. And it makes me think of, I remember when Pernell Whitaker fought for the super welterweight title. He picked Julio Cesar Vasquez. He didn't pick Terry Norris. You know what I'm saying? He didn't go after Terry Norris. He went after Julio Cesar Vasquez. And so as you go up in weight, you're dealing with more than just a skill set versus skill set kind of fight. You're dealing with natural size, and it gets dangerous. Besides, not only does it get dangerous to your career, it gets dangerous to you physically as well because you're taking punches in there. So I think you look for the right moments, the right spots, and try to pick guys off. And when you think about it, I guess I can't really blame Canelo for doing it this way because I think everybody who moves up in weight, this many weight classes, has to kind of start picking guys off. You can't just go after the biggest, best guy once you're up too many weight classes. Otherwise, it starts to, number one, it starts to look too suspicious. But number two, it also gets very dangerous, you know. And I think, so I think it's an intelligent choice.
With that in mind, given he has picked the sensible option, if you like, how much credit do we then afford him if he is victorious?
I mean, I think you got to give him credit regardless, you know. I think it's an easier fight than Beterbiev, for example. You know, Beterbiev was a lighter fighter, but Beterbiev probably, I would dare to say Beterbiev hits harder even as light heavyweight. You know, so I think I still think you give a lot of credit. A world championship is hard to come by, and to get one in your 5th weight class, you still got to give credit. But again, I mean, I mean, when you talk about credit, you're saying in comparison to what would he have done at light heavyweight? I guess he can always drop back down to light heavyweight, you know, and once he fights for the cruiserweight title, if he's able to be successful. But you know, you're gonna have a lot of morons that talk about him in the heavyweight division instead. Instead of talking about, you know, the fact that he won a cruiserweight title if he wins the fight, and talking about how he can drop back down to light heavyweight, you're gonna have your crew of idiots that are gonna start talking about, well, what did he do at heavyweight? You know, well,
there isn't really like a sensible option at heavyweight, is there?
There really isn't, but you know, I could see them like saying, oh, he could fight Usyk because Usyk is an ex-cruiserweight champion. I could see them being that dumb, even though Usyk is 6'3" to Canelo's 5'7", you know. But I could see. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, we've seen boxing writers and pundits and reporters say much dumber things than this, so I wouldn't be shocked, you know. But personally, me, from a more realistic perspective, he wins this fight, and I think he's got a good chance of winning the fight. I'd say take a shot at back down to light heavyweight. Right now, all the light heavyweight champions are pretty big punchers. So maybe you kind of see how the weight class shapes up in the next year or two while you win this cruiserweight title and make some other choices. And then maybe if a guy who's not as heavy of a puncher comes in to light heavyweight, you know, maybe you jump on him, you know.
There's always Bridgerweight as well.
You're right. I forgot about that. You know what? Man. Don't get me started. Don't get me started.
Yeah, I was going to say. Just before I let you go, just give us an idea of what's happening with you back over in the US. What are you kind of spending the majority of your time doing at the moment?
Bitter espresso, man. I don't know. I mean,
I'm not going to pan over to the name of the place because I don't want to throw any shade at the coffee place.
Even with the one sugar, it's bitter. What am I doing? We'll go back to the question.
Yeah. The coffee just threw you. What are you spending the majority of your time doing at the moment back in the States? Obviously, active competition, you're now retired from that, but what are you spending the majority of your time doing?
I'm just doing some mixed punditry and boxing coverage. I'm working with some good people here in the UK. I'm working with Boxer. I've been with them for a while, and I'm happy to see that they've brought me back. I was doing their podcast Mouthpiece for a little while as well with Savage Dan. In the U.S., I'm working with a couple of teams. I'm working with Blue Moon Fight.tv in the United States. I was covering the Canelo Fight Week with them last week. I'm also going to be working with Pro Box Promotions in the new year. Some big things coming out of them as well. They're a Florida-based company, and they're making they're going to be making a nice push in the new year as well. So I've got some little connections that I've made in my time off, and I really look forward to being part of some growth, just like I was part of the boxer growth with this company. So we'll see how 2022 brings, if the world can stay somewhat normal.
Thanks, Paulie, and sorry about your coffee.